Welcome back to Asinine Radio, a weekly podcast where we talk about music, and, well, that's pretty much it. So, let's go!
This is Asinine Radio. This is the weekly music podcast where every week we get into a different band, a different artist, and then we listen to all of their records and we rank them from worst to best. We give our biggest banger, our biggest stinker possibly from each of those. But before we do that, we get into our 6 degrees with Tom DeLonge if we decided to actually do it this week. But while you're listening, go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, give us 5 stars and 5 stars only. Go to all the social medias because you can find us at Asinine Radio. Follow us, give us a follow, talk to us, hang out with us. We have a Discord server. If you want to join that, let us know. We'll send you the link. And we have a phone number that you can call, leave us, or shoot. You can leave us. You can call us. Jesus fucking Christ!
Who are you talking to?
Oh, we have a phone number. You can call or text us.
What are we talking about?
Do that. You can leave us a voicemail. I don't care. My name is Tyler, and way out there, hundreds of miles away, is Jeff. So let's jump right into this, Jeff. Did you do any 6 degrees with Tom DeLonge?
No, I did not.
I did not either. It's been a long week. So let's move on then. So if you didn't already know, we are doing we're doing Descendents this week, and we're going to rank all 8 of their records, and we're going to do it from worst to best and give our biggest banger from each of them. So let's jump right into number 8. What do you got, Jeff? Go.
I could say this now. This was a pretty phenomenal week. This was it's one of the best weeks I think we've ever done, just because this is something so new, and it ended up being so damn good. So none of these were like bad at all by any means. They were all at least good, and I enjoyed every single one. But my least favorite was "Cool to Be You," their 6th album, 2004. I don't know. I just didn't care too much for the overall tone of this one. It was just kind of forgettable.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. It was still fun to listen to, though. I didn't have a banger. After listening to it, I was like, okay, this is definitely not as good as the one before. And then after playing the one after, I was like, he's obviously not as good as this one. And it had to fall somewhere. So I have really no opinions on this one. Cool to Be You. Didn't care.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. My number 8 is also Cool to Be You. This is their 6th record from 2004. I agree with you. This was, I don't want to say it was forgettable, but just comparing it to everything else, nothing really stood out outside of the song Mass Nerder. Just because that was kind of a goofy song. Kind of what Milo was doing with his vocals was different than really anything he ever kind of did. Like the melody was different, and that's really the only song that stood out. But everything else just kind of meshed together as one thing. But that's really most of these records. Sometimes it's hard to differentiate between songs because they all kind of start out the same with like the bass going, the drum rolls in, and then it's like almost every fucking Descendents song. But I love it. This week has been a fucking blast. So Cool to Be You is my number 8, but there's nothing wrong with it at all. So let's move on to your number 7.
Everything Sucks, their 5th album, 96. And it's kind of funny because like the gaps in between some of these albums are just, there's so many years.
Yeah.
And it's like this band's been around for a long time, but they've also not been a band for a long time too. So that's kind of funny.
All because of Milo.
All because of Milo. Everything Sucks. A little bit of a dip here for me after 1, 2, 3, 4. Musically, I think this is actually tighter than anything they've done up until this point. They're playing around with a lot of like pacing changes and just fun structures. Mm-hmm. And they've gotten much better at their instruments. But I think it's very pop punk sounding, but doesn't want to be. The songs are set up to be more punk sounding, but they always kind of seem to like revert to that generic pop punk thing that they do fairly often. Just not my favorite album. But like sonically though, this sounds fucking great. Like everything, everyone's tone is fantastic. I think the production quality is fucking top notch. I think this album sounds great. It's just not like my favorite one.
So, do you have a banger off that one?
Nah.
No. Okay. My number 7 is Enjoy their third record. I did like this record a lot. It definitely was more of an experimental thing that you could tell. There were heavier songs, a ton of skits, a lot of farting, which I thought was hilarious. But it just kind of seemed like they were trying too hard to be like Black Flag with the experimental kind of jazzy weird thing that they were doing, but they just didn't quite nail it like Black Flag did. This is just kind of to me this was just kind of a fun record for them to make. Like they didn't even, it didn't seem like they tried too hard to write songs on this record. It was just to go into the studio and have a blast. That's all it was. And I like it. I thought that was super rad, but because of that I have to rank it this low. So I have no banger off of Enjoy. So
Okay, that's
that
a
surprise
fucking
you?
ranking. That's a fucking ranking. I'll tell you that much right now. I don't hear nothing about it. That's a fucking ranking.
I told you I was going to surprise you.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Okay.
What is your number 6?
I don't want to grow up. I don't want to grow up. This is
Kid.
this is their second album, 85, and this is pretty good stuff. Still very punk focused, but this is like the true pop punk album by the Descendents.
Mm-hmm.
This is like where, and we'll get into a ton of pop punk because it's just all of these things coming back to me. I realized so many things this week. It was cool. It was fun. Everyone got better from the first album to this one, just like vastly better. And this is their last. This is their last, right? With the bass player Tony. No, not their last one for a while.
Yeah,
I don't
Tony,
know.
yeah.
There's
He came back. He came back sporadically after this.
Yeah,
this
this
is the
band,
last
dude.
full length that he did with them.
The only person that's been there is Bill,
Yeah.
and I don't even think he was part of the original. What?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't
Yeah.
technically part of the original.
But whatever. This album is really good. I like this. The songs are fun. Milo can't really sing or stay in tune, and that's so funny. It's just so funny because he's trying to sing more like pop punky on this one, whereas in the first one it's more just like yelling and kind of him just "Wah," doing that thing. And here he's actually trying to sing, and his bad singing is coming through even more. But like they don't give a shit. And it's so endearing. It's so fun. The instrumental song theme, that was fucking great. That was like my
that's a
favorite
great
song, bar none. Very low bass parts and a lot of high guitar noodling made for a really nice contrast. And it was just a good, cool, like surf rock, pop punk song.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right, that's your number 6. My number 6 is Everything Sucks, 5th album from 1996. This one, it's a fun record, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't quite have the recklessness of their 80s stuff. Like they really refined everything, the production, their playing, their actual playing, everything was just more mature in that sense. I mean, musically it's still goofy and childish, which is great, but how it sounded was more mature and more refined, which, you know, I like the recklessness of the earlier stuff. But this record does have a really great balance of the pop punk, melodic punk stuff with the more hardcore leaning songs. Like they really found that perfect balance here. So, yeah, Everything Sucks. That's my number 6.
Everything sucks. Okay.
So what do you got for 5?
All of these I really enjoy. Like I had a lot of fun with. The next two, I don't think I would buy on the vinyl just because like why would I reach for this when I can reach for this? So, but like this next one I had a lot of fun with, and that's hypercaphium spasonate.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck that even means, but
I don't know
this
what
is
fucking quail is.
I don't even know. So good. This is like their most aggressive and actual hardcore punk sounding album like I think they've ever done. This is some serious angst here and intensity, but it definitely does sound like a typical Epitaph group releasing an album because this is 2016. This is their 7th album.
Describe it.
This is generic. Like if you've listened to Bad Religion for so many fucking years, like that is kind of the sound. And they are contemporaries. Like Bad Religion is a contemporary of the Descendents as much as Black Flag is.
Yeah.
And even Dead Kennedys, they're all in the same kind of scene early on, but the Descendants have now fallen into the Epitaph sound, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that, but I just can't rank it higher because it is a little generic. But I think Bill's best drumming is on this album. I don't really have like a banger per se, but he is fucking phenomenal on this. And you can hear it, and I was kind of like, damn, dude, like this is really, really good. And so then I was like, let me just Google fucking Bill Stevenson and say like, what is his favorite thing that he's done or whatever. And I was kind of reading more about the way he played drums. And I'm not a drummer. I don't know anything about technicality or whatever. But he was talking about how he's doing a lot of like eighth notes and quarter notes and then switching hands. So his left hand's eighth, his right hand's fourth, and then vice versa, and going back and forth, whether regardless if it's on the hi-hat or the ride or the snare. And it makes for a much more complex like drumming style. And then like you can hear it going back to like I Don't Want to Grow Up. I don't Want to Grow Up came out right as they were doing the process of weeding out with Black Flag.
Yeah.
That like instrumental free jazz thing
fucking
that they
love
did.
that record or EP.
And that's like Bill Stevenson fucking ripped it up with Black Flag. And so it's just, I don't know. It's cool. It's cool to see them still put out records that are like, wow, this is really, really good still. And I was happy. I was happy and I was surprised.
So wait, what is your favorite song then?
I didn't have one.
You don't have a banger? Okay.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like I love all these albums, but I don't have a banger. Like, because a lot of them do meld with one another, so it's hard to kind of differentiate. But great records. But anyway, my number 5 is also Hypercaphium Spazzinate, 7th record from 2016. And what you said about this having that epitaph sound, I 100% hear it. It's hard to explain, but it totally makes sense. And because you said that, the tone on this record actually reminds me a lot of Covered with Ants from Guttermouth. Just that drumming sound and the guitar sounds.
Epitaph too. That's an epitaph tone, absolutely.
Exactly. And that's what, like right when you said that, I immediately thought of Covered with Ants. And the song No Fat Burger, which is my banger off here, it's a 42-second long song, but goddamn, it could be a Guttermouth song. It could be a snotty ass Guttermouth song from like Friendly People or something like that. I thought that song was so fucking rad. And I think this is one of the albums that is the most varied genre wise, because they have the snotty punk, they have the pop punk, they have the hardcore stuff, and then they're moving into some kind of like alt rock, not necessarily ballad stuff, but there's some alt rock stuff here, and they do it really well. I really, really dug that. So I do appreciate this record for how varied it is genre wise. And Hypercaphium Spazzinate from Descendents. So after this point, I would get all this stuff on vinyl. So what do you got for number 4?
I would probably listen to this one again. This is so Ninth and Walnut, their last album, their 8th one from last year. This one, he would have missed opportunity when this came out. We talked about this, and we talked about like, yeah, okay, it's fine, like it's whatever's. But like, obviously, we didn't listen to it. We heard it, but we didn't listen to it, because if we listened closer, we would have been doing this last year. Mm-hmm. Like this would have blown our minds last year, because this album is fucking great. They are still doing punk and pop punk better than most new bands that are coming out. And that's unreal. That is unreal that these guys are still doing the genre that they fucking invented better than everybody else that is doing the genre that they invented. Yeah. And it's embarrassing. It's impressive. It's absolutely fucking phenomenal. And the last track on this is a cover by a group called Dave Clark 5, which is just like an old, like who gives a fuck, like late 50s, early 60s rock and roll kind of band. Who cares? Some British band. But they do a cover of this, and it's called Glad All Over. And my God, it is so good. It's like this cool Stray Cats driven dance song mixed with like true punkage. And it's amazing. And that's my favorite track on this album is that last one. And it's a cover. And I think they slay covers. And it's just, God, man, this album is fantastic. I still might buy this one just because it's readily available. It's not very expensive, and it is really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, you could buy it for under $20.
I know,
which ain't bad. Ain't bad at all. I saw it today at Radiation, and it was like 23, and I'm like, I'll come back later. Come back later for this one. But okay, there you go. Ninth and Walnut is your number 4. It is also my number 4. Ninth and Walnut is also my number 4. So a lot of these songs were written, or I think all of the songs were written in the late 70s and during the 80s. Frank Nevada, he came back so let me start this over. A lot of these songs were written in the late 70s and 80s, and a lot of these songs were actually recorded, I believe it was 2002.
At least in part, yeah.
Yeah, at least in part, because Frank Nevada died in 2008, and he had kind of not rejoined the band, but he had gotten back together with the guys and wrote and recorded some music in 2002, and it was never released. It was never really finished music, and then they decided in 2020 or 2021 that they were going to get back together and just kind of finish those recordings, and that's what this is. And yeah, dude, they're mid 50s. And they're still killing these songs. They're still absolutely killing it with these songs. Yeah, they were written a long time ago, but they're played now,
Played now, exactly.
Yeah, so, man, dude, yeah, this Ninth and Walnut, surprisingly, was very, very good. And I agree with you. Had we actually really listened to this record a year ago, we would have, done Descendents then.
It was humbling. It really was. It was humbling because we didn't dismiss it as bad, but we did say it was good, but we didn't. It's so much better than we dismissed it as.
Yeah, totally.
That's us not doing our job, and for that I apologize.
Don't apologize. Just don't do it again.
I apologize.
So yeah, I mean, I would just kind of be repeating what you already said because I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Beat up.
So what is your number 3?
The album
what are you laughing about?
I guess that's so stupid. That chorus and the guys repeat up. So stupid.
I honestly, I probably say that every day. Like something will remind me of it, and I'll go repeat up. I'll say it like Robert, like a bad Robert De Niro. Repeat up, repeat up, or like Will Sasso doing Robert De Niro. It's like our impression of Will Sasso doing Robert.
An impression of Will Sasso doing an impression of Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
Doing an impression of Ian McKay. Gotcha. So good. Oh yeah, okay. So my third favorite. All of these I want on the vinyls. Number 1 or number 2 and 3 could be interchangeable. My number 1, that's silly boy talk. Number 3 is All, the album All by All. No, not by All.
By All.
By the Descendents. By Descendants, excuse me. Their 4th album.
Right.
The year we were born, 1987, baby boy.
Yep.
Right.
As old as us.
Super solid. A little more aggressive than some of their earlier stuffs. I liked it. But like really, really good all around. Like everything is just really, really tight. There were parts here that I really thought Milo was trying to like project his inner Rollins to the point where I was like, holy fuck, like dude, you really do sound like Henry Rollins there. But then I saw that like Des Cadena does backing vocals on this album. I didn't say what song. I don't know if that was just some fucking smarty pants just inserting him in the thing there. I don't know, but that was cool. But overall, like this album's a fucking banger, an absolute banger. I love it.
Agree.
I've like multiple fucking bangers here. The last track, or the last track, Schizophrenia. It's the longest on the album. Fucking fantastic. Coolidge. That's another one that's great. Even the first song, the first thing they do, they just yell all, and it's like, what is that? Why are you doing this?
It's like,
and they do it again
long.
like 2 tracks later, and it's just no. All. It's like, what the fuck is going on? It's so weird. I love this album. This album's so good.
Agreed.
Number 3.
Agreed. All right, All is my number 3 as well, from 1987. This one, so with Enjoy, they had kind of done the Black Flag thing, gone a little bit more experimental, but they didn't do it quite as well or as exciting as Black Flag with Enjoy. But with All, oof, they fucking nailed it. They nailed it with this record. This is I think everything that Greg Ginn wanted Black Flag to be was this record. I really do. But Greg Ginn is just he's not that good. He's just really ambitious. But Descendants just refined it and just made an absolutely phenomenal fucking record. I think this record is amazing, and I got this record today. At Radiation Records. Huge shout out, Radiation Records.
Huge shout out.
Picked it up today. So yeah, I think this album is a banger. My favorite song is the song Clean Sheets. I think that song is really, really catchy. I just need to spend more time with this record to give it a proper not rating, but a proper review.
Yeah.
because it's more complex than I feel like most people give this band. So yeah, All from Descendents is my number 3. So what do you have for number 2?
Enjoy. Their third album,
Can't believe you like this one.
1986. This is a joke, right? This is silly. This is almost like a comp because these songs are thrown together in a way that just they don't fucking flow.
Yeah, nothing
Like
makes sense.
nothing makes sense here. Songs 1 to 2 to 2 to 3. You're like, what the fuck? The sequencing is terrible. It's so immature. It's way more immature than anything Blink's ever done. And I don't know, man. I love it. The fart noises to the goofy lyrics. Like this was really, really fun to listen to. And this was they like those are actual fart noises when they were like in the studio. They're actually doing this. And they're working with kind of like bigger people now, either like producing or engineering. And like one of the guys who like engineered this album is like studied music, like new music theory, and
he went
he's
to
like, I
Berklee
want to get
School
a job.
of Music.
Yeah, he said he wanted to get a job like fucking eventually producing albums. And these guys come in and all they're doing is farting into the fucking record or farting into the mic. And he said it was a humbling experience because he thought he was going to like rip it up and take these track by track thing and break it down and make it, you know, better and do all this stuff. And all he wanted to do was fuck around, fart into the mic, drink a shit ton of coffee, and play really good music because this album is fucking fantastic. I love it. And I want this on the vinyls for sure. But what really surprised me was Wendy, the Beach Boys cover. So that song's a good song anyway. And then like I heard them play it. I'll do my origin story later. But yeah, so that was it.
Okay, and kind of throwing it back to the to that engineer. Like you said, he was fresh out of college. He worked at the studio, and I think it was in Venice Beach. And the guy who owned the studio is like, the engineer was expecting, oh, you know, maybe I can work on one new song from a band that's going to be recording here. And the owner said, no, you're going to be doing a full record. You're going to produce it. And he was like, oh, he was so excited. And he said right when he walked in, they literally had a mic up this guy's ass pretty much, and he was just farting into the mic. Like that was the first thing he saw when he walked into the studio was them farting into the mic. And I love that. I fucking love it. It's so fucking immature and so funny.
This may be like the most immature album like I've ever heard.
It really is.
God damn, it's good.
This is like what Guttermouth has always tried to do. You know, like with Shave the Planet and with Eat Your Face. It's kind of has that kind of feel to it, but not as immature as Enjoy.
And that comes with just straight like age, like Guttermouth at that point. They're just, or he's just too old. You know, he's getting old. Yeah. Like these guys are still really young. This is 86, so they're probably like what, early 20s in this one.
22, 23 maybe.
Yeah. So, dude, this is straight immaturity. This is immaturity from a group of guys that just want to have fun and don't even realize what they're doing because they're not. Half of these guys are really good at what they do. Half of these guys are really, really good at what they do. And the other half, like Milo's not a good singer, not even really good lyricist in the beginning, not even a good like songwriter because he really didn't do a lot. But he's cool, man. He's just a fucking dork. Rad. He's a dweeb. He's a nerd. Like he's a self-prescribed fucking dork. Like
he's like Rivers before Rivers, you know?
Yeah.
That's what he is.
All right, go ahead.
I'm sure we'll get more into Milo on the main episode.
Sure.
So my number 2 is I Don't Want to Grow Up. I'm a Toys R Us kid.
Fucking tell me Milo's not your fucking number one. You little piece of shit, asshole piece of shit. Tell me that.
I also got this one on vinyl today as well. I got this from Radiation Records. This one, I love how melodic and catchy these songs are. Honestly, this could be my number 1 as well. They really fluctuate. They're very different records. Milo is more hardcore record, hardcore punk. But I Don't Want to Grow Up is very pop punk. It's very, I think the songs are, you know what? Fuck it. Milo is my number 2. Fuck it.
Don't be.
I Don't Want to Grow Up is my number 1. They're just better written songs.
Here's what happens though. Like you say that, and then like we'll talk about Milo, and then you'll listen to Milo again. You're like, wow, actually, this is It is better. And like I get it. Like Everything Sucks is, I think it is the true first pop punk album that has ever been made, besides like the
Everything
Ramones
Sucks.
in that era. But Everything Sucks, yeah.
Wait, what?
Whatever. No, what'd you say? I don't want to grow up. I don't want to grow up. I don't want to grow up. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. I'm scrolling through my notes here. But no, Milo Goes to College is your favorite. Don't be silly.
I don't know.
You'll listen to it again and you'll think like, oh God, what was I thinking? Like this is truly number one.
I did listen, like before I left work today, I did listen to Milo and I Don't Want to Grow Up back to back. And I will say after that listen through, I did enjoy I Don't Want to Grow Up more.
No, you didn't.
It's a better record. So I don't know. So Milo Goes to College. Should we get into that now?
Yeah, that's number one for me and for you. So let's get into it.
No, it's not. So yeah, stay tuned for the main episode or go listen to the main episode. Give us 5 stars. That's it. That's all.